What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in the city of Rockdale for our Let's Play series, episode number 13. And of course, while recording episode number 13, I had some corruption, so we missed a little bit of development, but nothing too exciting. We just started expanding and continued that grid work south of the highway we added an episode or two ago. And basically, this has just been kind of expanding, been meeting the needs. We're going to get a little bit more loose with some of the neighborhoods over here as we expand to the water. One of the things that we do need to do is during that episode, we dropped in, where are they? A couple of nuclear power plants because we needed them. We were running low on power. We unlocked that at 50,000. Again, sorry you didn't get to see those developments, but other than that, it wasn't really anything too pressing. We just continued on with this grid down here. What I did want to do this episode, I did a little bit of work to delete some of the routes, so I wanted to go over some of the transit. The question is, though, we have 3 zones left to buy. I think I'm going to buy these 3 right here. Do we continue across the river first, or do we continue down to the water? Let's go down to the water only because we might be able to get our shipping harbor in there sooner rather than later. And the other thing, too, is if you see the slope over there, this is going to require a lot less work to kind of drop something into. Let's just see that real quick. See what that would look like. Cargo harbor does have a nice straight shot at a route right there. We wouldn't necessarily have to buy that tile over there if we wanted to develop somewhere else on the map, but that's good to know that that can fit in right there in that little corner of our map. What I wanted to focus in on this episode is, as traffic is slowly starting to become a problem, is I wanted to look at our bus and metro routes. And I did some basic metro tunnels here around this new expanding neighborhood. And I don't know if you remember, but I had 1 stop in the industry, so now it actually connects up to 4 different stops. There's no lines yet, though, and I wanted to talk about that in today's episode. So let's break out, before we do the metro, let's break out our bus route tool, because I want to rethink these as well too. So the same way that I did with the metros, you can delete stops. So if you go and highlight on a stop, you could drag to move it, or you could hit X to delete. I believe that is square on PlayStation, and I have no idea what button it is on the Switch. And I've said that previously because I have a Switch upstairs and don't remember what the buttons are, but they used, and I found this out because I purchased the Switch version just to see what it was all about, and the buttons are just totally backwards. Like, I would expect them to be in the same place even though they're called something different. But the button on the right, which is X, which is delete, is like not the delete button in Switch, and it's super confusing. It's kind of fun to have on the road if you are we're just gonna delete all these stops. It's kind of fun to have on the road if you know, Switch is your only means. Look at all the people waiting for the bus there. It's crazy. We had to give them some other ways to get around. More efficient routes is step number 1 right now. We're gonna delete all these bus stops and we're gonna rethink them just a little bit. You can see kind of which bus stops are just a lot busier than others. So I went in and again deleted all the metro lines so that we could rebuild these from the ground up. You don't need to see this part of the process as much. Apparently you can delete the whole line. Can I just highlight on the line and delete the whole line? Oh my god. Every day you don't learn something is a wasted day, and apparently you can delete the entire line just by highlighting the line. And that would have saved me a ton of time, which I'm glad I didn't record now. So there you go. So we're gonna leave our train line in place for now. That's the yellow and the green lines you see moving around the map. But all of our metros don't have any kind of line connecting them right now. And in fact, this metro down here, we're gonna have to find a way to power these couple stations until some buildings move in there, but we'll worry about that in a minute. Let's go define some of our metro lines and try and follow some best practices here. Now, I may not want the train to stop at every station, but just like train tracks, if it's traveling through the station, it may have to wait behind other trains. So I want to keep localized routes wherever possible and kind of minimize the traffic that might be crossing over across stations that it doesn't need. So I want to be very careful with my routes here. We don't have any kind of metro route over here. This might be good, but we'll tack that on as we start to expand that way. For right now, we're going to deal with the metro tunnels that we do have in these kind of 3 main areas. Kind of get a weird look going on there with the tunnels. What we want to do is we want a local route here around this left loop, a local route around the right loop, local here, local there, and then we want to find a way to kind of connect them all. But the first priority is local routes. So let's do that. So we will start with a station here, and we'll just go around to all the stops within this area. Now, I have seen some comments that suggest doing that in reverse as well too. So doing one clockwise, counterclockwise, which makes sense in actual city planning if you have like an inbound and an outbound route. You know, if you live in a major metropolitan area, you probably have some sort of central hub station, maybe multiple hub stations if you're in a big enough city. And you have inbound and outbound routes that connect into one of those and then allow you to connect to other lines from there. But since this is just a circular route around the city, we could do that one route, and then where this is coming blockwise, we could have another route that say connects this one to here, and then that'll prevent that train track from being used. So yeah, it's really kind of a toss-up right now. But let's go ahead and do the double route for now. But if we find that our trains are kind of backing up, jumping from station to station, or I should say from line to line, then we can always change that up later. The other thing we could do is kind of put our metro stations closer to corners. Let me see if I have that here. Like right here. And then rather than even intersect the routes, we could put another stop across the street, and people transfer lines just by walking across the street. That's not that bad of a possibility either. For right now though, we'll do the double routes around each one of these areas. I'm just selecting each station, adding a stop, and then we'll do the same thing in reverse for the area. Metro, I really love unlocking the Metro because it moves a ton of people, it makes good money for the city, and it reduces traffic where buses are, you know, more people on a bus, but it is more traffic on a road. This, you know, kind of keeps it underground and out of the way, which is nice. So those are those 2 loops around that. Now, I've tried to kind of connect people here where maybe they'll come from the south of the city up to the north if they work down here. But this one's really kind of spread out. I'm debating if I want this to be a little bit closer in the future. We might end up doing that. And same thing, we'll do the double routes clockwise and counterclockwise. These stations are obviously not going to get utilized for a little bit until we have more businesses moving in over there. In fact, I haven't even zoned that area off yet. When we see more demand increase, that's probably the area that we're going to go next. Where did I start this line? Let's clean up a little bit of the noise on our map here and delete some of these abandoned buildings for now. We've got a sick person here from noise. Let's double check just real quick where our hospital coverage is at down here. It's actually pretty good. Not too bad. Did we get a cemetery? We did get a cemetery and a crematorium in down there. Good. We'll probably want to put one up in the northern hills over here somewhere. We crammed the dump in there north of the highway, and this one was still emptying. Just want to check that out real quick, because when you have sick people, they will get picked up by an ambulance. Which actually, let's see where this ambulance is going. And so as long as there's medical coverage, they can deal with some of the noise pollution and noise sickness that they get. But if there isn't coverage, that's when you have that noise pollution start to expand pretty bad. So people can live next to noise. You want to try and minimize it whenever possible, and you want to make sure you have good medical coverage. So hopefully that little icon goes away shortly. Just look for any major problems too while we're scanning the map. Hopefully I don't miss anything that drives me crazy later on in the edit. You can see we do definitely have some intersections that, you know, we've got to start looking at. We've got traffic kind of backing up here and there. The most important thing though is the highway axis is still moving along nicely. You can get in and out of the zones. We've got the trains coming around. So lots of good things happening there. Let's jump back in though to our metro routes. So we've got 2 routes down here. We do have to water and power those stations. We will get to. We've done our routes up there. And let's get our routes done up here next. So 2 lines around there, and then we'll do our last little step here. I don't know why. I like to immediately stop on a second line at a line you just completed, so I'll just jump to the next station and do the same thing we did before, defining that same route in reverse, and we'll complete that line. Now the one line that we don't have is the one up here for our farm, and this is just going to be a back and forth for now. Now somebody did mention in the comments, I thought it was a good point, is that the people that live over here weren't going to work in the farmland because the first place they can get to is the metro stop, and then it becomes appealing to go all the way into the city rather than... If it's just as easy for them to get to the city, they don't necessarily go work in the farm. I did enable the schools out policy though, and you can see that, you know, we've got farm that is sustaining now. It's not getting abandoned. We don't have a lot of demand right now for any zoning really. So that's the next thing. We have to kind of generate some demand. We could do it by raising land value around some of the D-zoned areas, or not D-zoned, but zones that haven't been built on. We've got 3 fires happening over here. And that is why. So let's throw a fire station in over here. Get to work, please. You've got a lot of houses burning down. Come on. We need you, boys. Anytime. Okay, let's speed it up. I thought that was going to happen almost immediately. Apparently not. I guess you move a fire station, you got to get firefighters first. They don't come with the building. But hopefully they get to this pretty soon, because that does not look good. Good news is the fire in this building is out. Bad news is because there's no more combustible material to burn. Guys on the way yet? Did I put is that a fire station? What did I put in here? Looks like a fire station. Yeah, okay. Let's solve the fire the good old-fashioned way. Oh, you can't bulldoze buildings that are on fire. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't spread any further. So back to where we were really needing to do this episode. The metro route. So we've got loops around everywhere. We should... I don't know if the stations and the route functions if it's not powered and watered. I don't know if the station's active. It prevents things. So let's go ahead and run some power. We'll cut into our neighborhoods for now. And that's okay, because we have a ton of free zoning, and unfortunately nobody's moving in just yet. No way it's gonna let me there. Well, let me get that close. Why am I powering that station? That is already powered. Whoops. So we can delete that, because that's getting powered just fine. And people are using that metro, so I guess that line is working even if the other stations aren't powered. Maybe it doesn't stop at those if it's not powered. But I could be wrong. Let's pause it because we're... Apparently I put a line down there. Now this, unfortunately, is going to be very tricky to get power to because of the highway there. It's not gonna let me do that. Gonna jump the roads just right. Okay. So power, we'll do water next. Our water is getting a little low. A little dry in the well. So when we finish this, maybe we'll drop in another water treatment plant or put in some water towers somewhere. Water treatment, water pumping. I think you knew what I meant. Okay, so that's good for now, but let's run one more band up here so we can at least zone all along this street, and we won't zone those side neighborhoods just yet. We won't start to zone over here. We do want to do some waterfront property. We do have this zone down here. Let me see. So we should be able to buy 2 more tiles, I believe, right? It's 9, isn't it? And when do we unlock those? At 75 and 90,000. So our growth is a little stagnant right now. That should be... Oh, I was going to say it should be powered in water, but we didn't hit the play button. So we'll extend this highway... Once we buy that next tile across the river and connect it up to that beltway, we'll build another area down there, and then we'll connect this highway again to this area down here. We'll have like maybe another industrial and shipping area down here. We've got lots of things that we can do. We've got noise pollution happening everywhere here, so we've got to make sure that our medical coverage is strong over here. Our dump coverage is not so strong over here. It looks like. I think this dump way over here is covering this whole part of the city, so let's fix that. Right, it is, yeah. We're doing a pretty good job for considering how far away they are, but let's tuck something over here off to the side of the map. We will have a little bit of a dead zone here, so we can just simply come off from down here. Let's do a little 45-degree angle. I don't know why I'm nitpicking this. It's just going to be for placing a dump up on the hill for now, because that's what you want to see. Oh, really? Too steep? Too steep to pile garbage on? Really? We fit it right here under the highway? That'd be perfect. Probably could right there. Let's look at our zoning. Let's see where people live. So that is residential right there. Okay, we'll just throw it down here for now. We will put it right in the middle of our grid, but off to the side a bit. So we'll have, again, this is not going to be a continuation of the 6-lane road. So this will be kind of like a little dead zone in the middle of our map. We can fill it in with trees, maybe a large monument right there. But this is just for dump coverage for right now. We'll do that. We'll do, how's our incinerator status? Pretty weak. Do some incinerators right there. That should cover that half of the city just fine. All right, so we've got that industry demand that's climbing, and I think we could do that one of two ways. We could continue to expand our farmland a little bit, which would be nice to kind of build this out some more over here, but we also really kind of need some city development to easily spread power down here, and I think we're going to do another office park for now. We'll do that. And that actually is filling up nicely. Hopefully that will create a demand for some more residents. And then we can build another little residential area here, maybe up towards the highway. And then we'll focus more on office and industry and cargo and shipping down here. But this would be a nice little pocket of residents, which is on the rise again. Good. There's jobs in the city for people to move to. Like I said, I do want to extend this highway out. Maybe it will run through whatever city we put over there, connect to this highway, which will connect to the Beltway. We still have this area over here that we could very easily expand to, and on the other side of the highway as well. And then we've got some room up to the north where we had been dumping all our excess soil from terraforming. You can see I tried to make it kind of a nice smooth slope so it wouldn't jet out too much. You know, we do have some mountains and some hills kind of on the map, but I wanted this to remain relatively flat, this little valley for our city here. So our zoning has dropped off again, unfortunately. Looks like we had enough zone tiles for people to move into. The residential demand's kind of peeking in and out there. If you notice in the bottom right, it'll pop up, then it'll go down. So let's help beautify a little bit. Let's raise some land value. Let's drop in some parks and landmarks. Let's see where we can squeeze stuff in before people move in. So a small playground here. It has a pretty decent area of effect, and we can cram it in pretty easy. In fact, we'll do it in a spot there. Small park. We can get this in up here before everybody moves in. Do it right here on the corner. Slope too steep. Love to put it right there, maybe. That would move this business out, but you know what? Gotta find a spot for it. Like I said, it'd be nice to have some of these overlapping things kind of help beautify our neighborhoods, raise the land value. Drop it in over here, kind of in the center, more of the center of what might be a residential neighborhood later on. We'll see. What else can we do? Do a bouncy house. We don't have really anything going on up here in terms of parks. One little park right there, one little monument. So where can we put this in? Might be fun for people. We could reduce some of this noise spillover over here and kind of maybe overwrite one of these 3 nightclubs. Throw a little bouncy castle in the middle. That would be kind of funny. Let's go over here, because I did want to eventually move out maybe some of these residents to higher density. So for right now, you got a little bouncy house that you can, you know, you can jump around there, and then the kids can play in traffic. It's a great combo at this really busy intersection. Maybe we'll rethink the placement of that bouncy castle later on. Got different plazas, and I don't think we've put a Paradox Plaza in yet. Maybe we need something over here in our central area. Be kind of nice. Can we get it right there without overriding both sides of the block? It doesn't look like we can. That's unfortunate. I'd kind of like that kind of central. Where can we put this? Where it'll be kind of on a main drag. Put it in there, we can't. This is the Paradox Plaza. We don't need one right next to that other park. You know, maybe somebody needs something over here. If we can squeeze it in right there, at that point we may as well overwrite those houses if we're taking out so many of them and put it right there in the corner of this residential neighborhood. So we'll do that. A place for gamers to meet. Little plaza with trees. Drop in over here. What is this? We don't want to put it right next to that. That doesn't make much sense. You know, the industry doesn't have a lot going on for it right now. They've got that statue over there. Let's give them a little plaza down here. People can take a lunch break if they want. Dart across the very dangerous speeding traffic with no stop signs. Get there, but they'll be okay. This dump is empty, so let's stop emptying that. Let's drop in a couple unique buildings. So we've dropped in our Eiffel Tower. Grand Central Terminal. I don't think that actually functions. It'd be nice if that actually functioned as a terminal. I mean, it's a pretty cool building. We could drop it in somewhere. I didn't really space out my grid though for that. So let's actually do something that's going to work our way towards the monuments, which we will eventually unlock. So we've done all of our level 1s, various little parks and plazas we've dropped around the map. We haven't done any of our level 2s. So Mall of Moderation, a little bit of Pocket of Noise, but now these streets back here were just simply to zone a little bit further and put commercial businesses that wouldn't mind living next to the highway. But we don't really need this here. We don't need that street. So we could easily drop the mall in. We center it on this block, we can. That would be good. I don't think that'll get power though. We may have to run some power down there in the short term. We'll remove that zone so we can run power if we need to. If it doesn't spread from this park. Looks like it might have. So this is the Posh Mall. And the Posh Mall maybe we'll put over here in this section of the city. I don't know where we can cram this in though. It's going to be a little bit tight. We don't want to put it right next to the dump. That wouldn't be fun for anybody. But maybe we can put it off here. Kind of off the highway. It's a little bit of ways, but this we will definitely need to power. Just to do something a little different, we'll take the traffic down to 4 lanes, even though we don't need it. There's that little divider there. And then if we go back into our uniques, we can throw... Can we throw the Posh Mall there? Slope too steep. Man. Why you gotta do me like that? Cities. Ooh, really? We can put it right there? Okay. That works. A little crooked. That is a crooked parking lot. Don't forget to put your e-brake on if you go to the Posh Mall, because that could be a very costly mistake. We'll run power from here. I think we have to go up 2 to get over this highway. Is that in the zone? I can't even tell. It's like buried in the floor there. Oh, we were so close on water. So close. So that should solve those problems of power and water. If I actually connected that pipe, did I? Yeah, okay. I didn't just float it out there. Noise pollution right off the highway. They're getting cured. That's good. We've got a little bit of stagnation in growth overall, I think, of the city after we went to the 50,000 mark. But we've got a new wave of residential demand happening, so let's meet that. We'll start moving people in over here. We'll do some different side streets inside of these neighborhoods to fill it out a little bit at a later time. But for right now, this will work. They generally are pretty good about moving in on the power grid, which is nice. Like, you know, they could move in anywhere here. They're moving in where there's power, though, which I really appreciate. So we don't have to keep doing stuff like this. We still have more industry demand, which again, we can meet with office space. So maybe we do some more office space down here. And we can kind of fill it out in a way where do a little strip of very tiny offices here, or we'll leave them all to its own block. We'll do that, and then hopefully that will help spread our power everywhere. Fill all this in. Meet our office demand there, and that should allow us to delete these power lines for the most part. Whatever demand we get next, we'll fill in here, whether it's commercial or industrial, and we'll keep doing the residents out over this way. When we buy that next tile, I'm not going to zone this side, because when we buy that next tile, I'm going to spin some neighborhoods off, some nice view of the river, and of the sewage floating by. Eventually we'll move our sewage down towards the end of that, so that the ocean can take it and cleanse it for us, because that's how sewage works, right? You put it in the ocean and it goes away, never to bother any other living creature again. So I think that's a pretty good start on some developments for the city. So the last thing I want to do today is we talked about the metro. We did a little bit of maintenance here or there. One piece of maintenance we didn't do was extend this water coverage all the way over here. Do that real quick. Okay, so that's good. That's good coverage for now. So, as I was saying, one of the last things I want to do is put those bus routes back in. So we want to look at ways to move around our citizens without them relying on cars. So we've got the trains taking them around the city. We've got some metro lines, but they might need to drive to get to one of those places. So by giving them some bus options too. Ideally, you don't want your buses going kind of everywhere around the city, but you want them to run east to west, north to south, maybe pretty straight lines, and go from different zones or different methods of transport. So if we put one right here, people can take a bus to get to the train station, or they can take the train to get on the bus to start moving around the city more. We want to stop at any of the, as close as we can to any of the metros as well too. And I was doing a stop kind of on every, what I was calling neighborhood, these collection of 9 blocks. We'll do that coming down here. And I want to think about my turnarounds too. I want to be careful with those. Now, in this case, I also want to bring this down here. I want to come to this train station as well. Where would our turnaround be, though? Our turnaround's pretty sloppy. I think if I add a road over here after the fact, it will recalculate the bus route. If it doesn't, I'll fix that at some point in the future. But then I want them to come back up through here. Stop at each one of the neighborhoods before we complete our line. And that just gives people a good way to get around. If I do this, do a stop there, bring the line around. So that's not too bad. This turnaround's a little long over here. And we could even, you know, add a stop in there. But that's pretty good for now. Because that gets us this top area covered pretty well, gets them to the train stations. I want to then do the same thing here in the middle of the city. So right here next to this metro station. Again, we'll go every 3 blocks or so, which is every neighborhood. I'm going to stop right across the street from that metro. And then we have another metro on this side. So those stops are a little close. We'll space this one out a little bit. And then we'll come down there to our metro. And maybe we can do this. We could sneak through our office park here. Come down maybe to here. And stop at the train station down here. Before coming back up and picking up this second side of the block. It's a little sloppy, but it's better than what we had before. Not in terms of the actual, you know, bus route itself. You know, it goes all over, but it goes over all over in a more focused way, which gets people from bus to train to metro, and then they'll take metro to get to other parts of the lines. One thing we didn't connect when we did the internal metro routes was, let me do the water while I'm talking about this. We didn't connect the metro routes going from different parts of the city. It wasn't water piping that I missed. It was just not having enough infrastructure here. We'll do our water treatment. We'll just keep cramming these in right here for now. But this is something that when we buy the next tile, and in fact, we could put it down there, but when we buy the next tile, we're going to... Did that automatically connect that because it was close enough to the pipe? We're gonna want to move all these, so let's just get ourselves in the green here so that we don't have to jump back to it in a minute. That connect that pipe? It looks like that was not the right place to draw that pipe. Definitely was not. I'm just running a pipe into the water there. Okay. What do we have here? Full cemetery. Man, every time you go to do something, there's always problems. Got some noise pollution happening. Things are really dense in the city. And you can see there's a lot of traffic here. We've got commercial next to residential, and we got a little loose with it. We'll let it go for a bit. Got some police problems here. All sorts of things we can address, but we're still growing. We've still got people moving in. Commercial and industrial. I'm sorry. Yeah. I was right. Commercial and industrial are... So commercial and industrial are starting to climb up again. I don't know if I want to do more office space there. That seems like that's just going to be a huge office park. Let's do our last bus route real quick here for the last part of the city. There is so much to talk about, and the problems get bigger and bigger as we grow. unfortunately. Sometimes I get a little distracted here. But that's what this Let's Play is all about. Just kind of building, talking about it as we go, solving problems in different ways. How can we turn around here easy? Be awesome if we could add another stop right there. We'll go around and do that, because again, the more we can get people to use things. That was too close, but we can delete a stop after. That's too close also. I gotta look down the road just a little bit to see. If we go back in here, where were those stops too close? That one's kind of bad. These two definitely bad. And we can delete this one for sure. We don't need that. We do want the one at the metro. That should be okay for now. So we'll come up with some bus routes to go most likely north to south, because that's where our main avenues run here, and that'll get people to the metro stations that run along the outskirts here. And maybe we can kind of have them duck in before they come back out. We'll come up with something interesting there. But that was sort of the start of redoing our routes here. We'll see how the traffic handles that. One thing I do want to do is I've got to reestablish my metro routes from each part of the city. So I want to have at least one stop in each major district. So people do have that option of, you know, if they want to get from here, they can take the line that goes from the south up to here, through here, you know, all the way up even into the industry, the other parts of the town. People will line transfer. They don't necessarily need a direct metro route to do that. So we'll keep an eye on the traffic, see what's happening there. Hopefully we can move some more people around and reduce some of the traffic. We'll also look at our traffic more in a future episode and kind of see where some of those problem spots are that we can help solve. Getting off the highway here onto a diamond interchange is always a fun idea. We might change this into maybe a rotary of some sort. But let's actually look. I think we have a traffic light on here. So let's do that. The AI is kind of stupid sometimes, but it also, they're very efficient at moving without traffic lights. They're very courteous and sometimes they drive through each other and through pedestrians, but it's not technically causing a crash or a problem. So sometimes one of the best things you can do is just turn off the intersections altogether and just let them kind of have reign. And you can see this should solve this problem pretty quick, or at least reduce it. We do have people using the highway. The problem is we don't have any southern exit down here, so if they're getting off there, come down here, it might be faster to have another little exchange down here. And we will solve that in one of the future episodes. We've got people piling up in our metro tunnel down there. But lots to do. Lots and lots of stuff to do here to the city. Hopefully you got an idea of kind of where things are going. We're going to go south towards the water with some industry and shipping. We're going to expand out that way. We've got some room to maybe, you know, get a little loose up in here in the top corner of the map, have some residents, low density residential maybe that kind of goes off towards the highway. And then we've still got plenty of room in our industry area as well as up here. And for right now, at least, the highway's still moving along pretty good up here. I am pleasantly surprised at how this all worked, especially considering the problems. If you remember back, I don't know, episode 3 or 4, early on when we built this, it was very problematic. Some serious backups on the highway, and the highway is not our problem really right now. I mean, sure, there's traffic lining up here to get off, but they're moving pretty good. You know, they're not getting backed up, which is nice. And we've solved that, you know, with different routes, with left-hand exits, just changing things up a bit, giving people multiple routes to get around the city. And we'll see kind of what our trains are doing, our metros doing, and our bus lines are doing, and continue to expand that in a future episode. But for now, that is all for episode 13 of Let's Play City Skylines, Town of Rockdale. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. As always, it helps the channel a lot and it is greatly appreciated. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. I'll do my best to respond down there. We usually have pretty good conversations, tips and tricks. So if you're learning a lot from these episodes, check out the comments too, because some of you guys have some great ideas, tips and tricks down there in the comments section. And again, it's greatly appreciated. If you're new here, consider subscribing for all kinds of great game videos and lots more City Skylines on the channel as well. And while you're at it, hit that bell to get notifications, because it's very easy for a small channel like mine to get lost in the shuffle. Until the next one though, this is Move the Mouse signing off.